Recently, I've seen news about Meghan and Harry possibly calling it quits, and Harry allegedly returning to one of his exes. Do I believe this? Absolutely not. But the question arises, does either of his two main exes pose any real threat to Meghan and her relationship with Harry? What do you think? Of course, we know that in any relationship, there's a possibility of a breakup, right? So let's consider Prince Harry's serious relationship, because I know he had a few flings and or hookups. I'm talking about the two that I think were his top relationships in addition to his now wife, Meghan Markle. Let's see how Meghan measures up to number 1, Chelsea Davy, and number 2, Cressida Bonus. Harry started dating Chelsea in 2004 and he dated her through 2010 or 11. However, it was an on-off relationship. And that's why I don't think Meghan would ever really have to worry about her. But what makes some people believe that she can be a possible threat is because of the alleged emotional and tearful phone call she had with him before Meghan and Harry's wedding day. Now, aside from that fact or fake news, whichever one you view it as, is the absolute fact that their relationship was an on-off one. And it's because of that on-off status that I can't say it was as serious as others thought it to be. Yes, Harry may have been happy with her. He may have even enjoyed his time with her. But I could see why people would ask that question, was he really happy? Because when you think about the relationship as a whole, it shows something differently, right? Because when you look at the timeline for that relationship, starting in 2004 and lasting through 2010 or 11, because there seems to be some discrepancies there regarding the time that they called it quits for good. I think it's 2010 myself. Now, though 2004 to 2010 or 11 is 6 or 7 years, we can't really say that they were a couple for 6 or 7 years. The timeline shows that out of those 6 or 7 years, they took at least 5 breaks from each other. And those 5 breaks totaled around at least 26 months. 26 months. That's over 2 years, man. So they were only together for maybe 4 or 5 years. And that's not counting the long distance periods that created so many issues within their relationship, such as early on in their relationship in 2006. And in 2006, there was a source out there allegedly stating that Harry hooked up with Natalie Pinkham. And it was rumored that Natalie was leaving Harry's room. She called out for him to give her a kiss. Harry stated that he couldn't do it out there. So Natalie allegedly went into the room, and the people from that went on to assume that they had a kiss behind closed doors, and that unbeknownst to the two of them, there was a photographer recording the whole thing. Now, of course, Pinkham denied being anything more than a friend to Harry. And me personally, I choose to believe her because I'm a stickler for proof, not assumption. Then there was in 2007 when Davy saw a photo of Harry being kissed by 2 girls. So thinking about those 2 things, in the second and the third year of their relationship together, there were already issues regarding him possibly messing around on her. And then immediately after that is when the off-on relationship began. And during the off times, both of them dated or hooked up with others. Now, despite the breakups and despite the other issues that they were having, in August of 2007, to Davy's credit, there was allegedly a proposal from Harry. But there was no official announcement of that proposal. So that leaves people to believe that maybe the proposal was only to make up for the alleged messing around or to pacify Chelsea. Because 3 months later, they had their first breakup due to his alleged, and this is Chelsea's words, playboy lifestyle and his lack of commitment to her. Now, so far, does any of that sounds like a strong relationship that will cause Meghan to feel threatened in any way? I don't think so. Anyway, Chelsea and Harry went on to have 4 additional breakups throughout their relationship, and through it all, Both of them dated others. Harry dated others, including Carolyn Flack, and Chelsea dated Dan Phillipson and Taylor McWilliams. Moving on to Cressida Bonus. She started dating Harry in 2012, and they dated until 2014. Now, if I had to choose from the two of them between Chelsea and Cressida, I would have to say Cressida is the one that could possibly pose a threat. Now, according to Cressida, her 2 years with Harry ended due to media scrutiny and her being criticized by the public. Sounds familiar? Now, this is one reason why I think she could be a threat. In a few moments, I'll explain why I think Harry truly loved Cressida. But for right now, I just want to focus on this. This is why I think the reason for Harry's separation from Chelsea had much to do with how he handled his current situation with Meghan the way that he did. Just think about it. You have his mother. His mother had mental issues, and those issues were aggravated due to the scrutiny of the media and criticism from the public, right? Then he gets into a relationship further along in his life with Cressida. And he sees how that same thing, the media scrutiny and the criticism from the public, those things caused him to lose the woman that he loved at the time, Cressida. So now we fast forward to his marrying Meghan, the new woman he loves, and he's seeing firsthand how the media and the criticism from the public is taking a toll on her. Now we know, because he said it himself, that was the reason for his abrupt decision to leave the royal life, because of he didn't want the same thing happening to his wife that happened to his mother. But I was thinking, could it be that he was seeing history repeat itself, not necessarily with his mom? I'm sure it played a part, but even more so, could it be that he was seeing history repeat itself and wanted to ensure that he didn't lose yet another true love over it? If so, Cressida proves to be a threat in a sense that Harry truly loved her. And it will boil down to the depth of his love for Meghan to determine whether Cressida could ever truly be a threat to that relationship. But without considering that, the depth of Harry's love for Meghan, it was obvious that Cressida was the one out of his past two relationships that Harry absolutely loved and was serious about. Sources even stated that Harry and Cressida almost rekindled the relationship that they had. Harry made a real effort to try and win her back, something he never did for Chelsea. He didn't do that for Chelsea. He did something that men only do when they love a woman, and that's cook for that woman. Now, you get a man you're dating to cook for you, trust that man loves you. And Harry cooked dinner for Cressida. And to further support his love for her, he was so torn up over the split to the point that his friends needed to take action. His friends had to do something to cheer him up because he was just so torn up over that split from Cressida. And another fact is that the 2-year relationship was solid. It was a solid 2 years with Cressida. They only had one brief hiccup at the beginning of their relationship, but what new relationship doesn't have at least one hiccup, right? Because the two are getting to know each other. Sources says that 5 months into the relationship, Cressida gave Harry an ultimatum. She gave him 3 months to prove that he wanted her and only her. So the fact that he was using those 3 months to prove that he wanted her, we can't say that that was a break, right? So they didn't have a break. They just kind of slowed things down a bit. And when they weren't together, Harry wrote to her. So his taking the time to write a letter, not once, not twice, but he did it often. His taking the time to write to her is something else that attests to the fact that he loved her. Because men don't take the time to write to a woman unless he truly loves her. You know, just think about a man sitting down there writing a letter. No, they got so much more to do. That's too sappy for men. And to further cement the closeness and trust they had in each other, Cressida was able to speak freely to Harry about anything, even issues he was experiencing. Sources tell us that she really cared about him. She got him to accept that he had problems, and she was the one to convince him to seek help and see a psychoanalyst for mental therapy. Now, there was also much talk about marriage and kids from Harry, and It appears she was accepted by the royals as well. I mean, she was getting along with William and with Kate. She even spent a weekend at the Queen's private home. Now, the Queen wasn't there, but at the same time, she still was there, right? I don't think it would be okay for her to be there if the Queen didn't give the okay for her, right? But even though there was so much talk about marriage and kids, and though Cressida appeared to be overcoming her fears of royal life, she just wasn't sure about it, according to sources close to her. They said she just wasn't sure about it. Like Chelsea Davy, Cressida just wasn't keen on being a royal girlfriend or a royal wife for that matter. And that's because she saw the high attention that Will and Kate were receiving. She saw that and it freaked her out. So that fear is what resulted in the April 2014 amicable split of the couple. And they remain friends today. So when you think about all that was just talked about between Cressida and Harry and their relationships, yes, if I can understand a person saying that if Cressida wanted Harry back, it could potentially be a threat for Meghan Markle, right? But be that as it may, we're just going to leave things alone and see how things play out. But I seriously think Cressida doesn't want that. But we got to look at the fact that he's no longer in a royal life now. So who knows? Stay tuned for our next Harry video to find out if the depth of his love for Meghan is enough to counter whatever possible threat that can come from Cressida Bonus. This is Shell signing out.